It's a depth thing. When I lean back.
It's a depth thing because like I'm sitting up and then you're kind of like
lazy
over here. Like, what's up, dude?
It's the scoliosis, man. You know, like you used to watch Ninja Turtles and they would pick up a slice of pizza and it'd be like,
it falls.
That's
like
Baltimore
down.
pizza. And I'm like, that's not New York pizza. I don't know what they're eating. That's a Baltimore.
Yes.
That's
like
a Baltimore
Baltimore
imitation slice.
Yeah, and it's just
like
kind of
that.
like everything's like sliding off of it. It's
Baltimore
terrible.
slice, baby.
It's terrible.
Drake is like a Michael Bay, and
He's a Michael Bay version of a rapper.
and Kendrick
right?
is like A24.
God, that's perfect analogy. Yeah.
All right, episode 81.
We're back.
Welcome back, baby.
Finally.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a minute. A lot of people thought we would never return.
Yeah. They were, I was getting little inside
are.
jokes in my home. Like, you guys are never getting back together.
Like ever.
All right.
Josh is here.
Little Taylor Swift.
Isaiah's here.
Nomad Outland Whiskey. There's not much information on this bottle. From Scotland to Spain. That's what it says. Born in Scotland, raised in Spain. Unique aging process beginning in Scotland and finishing in a bunch of stuff that I cannot pronounce. But Spain, more or less, makes this whiskey an authentic rarity with flavors of warm spices, raisins, and honey. So we're looking out for raisins and honey in the tasting.
Two things I never thought I would put on a palate together.
No?
Raisins and honey.
It's okay. We'll get into it. See how it goes. Look at the top.
Oh,
That was a little let
that was
down.
very
Yeah.
anticlimactic.
Sorry, guys. It'll do, though. It'll work.
Very much.
They're already -1.
All right. Now, before we get too far into this episode, we will take a quick second to discuss the Baltimore Best opportunity.
Please, let's talk about it.
Briefly, yes. So the podcast is up. It's on the polls. You can vote.
Please go
for it.
vote.
There is a link in the show notes on our profiles. There'll be a link on the screen. We'll put one there for you. Or if you just go to the website, that does the trick too. You can get the voting there. But yeah, that'd be cool. We'd be stoked.
That'd
to
be
make that
fun.
happen.
I know we kind of talk about a lot of universally relatable things, but we still try to keep it homegrown. We are 4 Baltimore guys, and we try to put on for our city. And it would mean a lot if you guys were to vote us as best local podcast for Best of Baltimore.
Yeah, that'd be rad. And we've got a couple of friends out there that are also nominated for various things.
Yeah, Exit 52. They're up for
podcast as well.
Yep.
Common Ground Electric, a boy. That's his
Yes.
electric company. They're up.
Yep.
Emily's got
Emily's
a couple
up.
of things.
I saw that. There's a nice some nice synergy for a lot of people.
That's right.
At worst, they
She's up.
invite us and we get a free meal. I hope. That's
I
all
don't
I
think
really
you're gonna
want.
get a free
is
meal. I think you're just gonna hang out at best case scenario. But neither.
They got a buffet.
No, I don't think.
I
so.
went once and there was like a seafood buffet.
Maybe. The last time I went, I feel like
this
it was
was
a
like
lot of like
early
vendors and a lot of
2010s.
restaurants
Yeah, like
and a lot
that,
of things
yeah.
like that were serving some different things. I don't think there was ever like a meal or a sit down kind of anything. But I don't know. It's been a while, a couple of years since I've
Yeah, a
been.
lot
so
of
who knows?
hors
But
d'oeuvres.
yeah, if you want to get out there and throw us a vote, that would be greatly appreciated.
Yeah, man.
And yeah, let's do it.
If you don't have the internet, you can contact me directly. I will make a fake email address and vote for you.
Well, man, if you don't have your internet, and you're watching us,
Hey, man, some
Explain
people
that to
live
me.
off the
That's a
grid,
great
man.
call.
Some people live off the grid.
It's very fair. All right, let's move on into some show topics. Now, I have a list as I usually do. I'll send that over to Josh so he has access to it. But I think the first thing we can kick off with, and to be fair, I've been a little out of loop. I've been off the grid for a few weeks. But Kendrick Lamar,
Oh
not
yeah,
Lamar, sorry, Kendrick and Drake. I don't know why I said Lamar.
That's his
that's his
name.
I
Kendrick
mean, he
Lamar.
won, so
I know, but I meant to say Kendrick and Drake. I said one person's name like that was it.
Oh, I got what you're saying. Yeah.
My mind just kind of like froze and broke on me for a second.
But let me get your perspective
Kendrick
on it
and Drake.
first before I.
So I know very little about the backstory as to why they are beefing or kind of getting into it. It does seem as if just in my opinion, that Drake was kind of primed for somebody to kind of come after him. He's not really, I don't know. He's kind of maybe the king on top of the hill a little bit. And I think people are going to take shots for it.
Yeah, of course.
You know what I mean? I think there's like that can be expected to a certain extent. And Kendrick, unfortunately, I think is well equipped to do that.
Yes.
I think this is just my opinion. I feel like a lot of people have kind of come for Drake in the past and have maybe been a little, outmatched, maybe just in scope and scale.
Yeah.
As to what Drake has the capacity for. But I think Kendrick is interesting in the sense that he, in many respects, could be considered more talented, probably, and more gifted than Drake, that. Perhaps. But I do think
it's a very dichotomized.
They're different, in a lot of ways. So
analytically, I have a few takes, and I'm glad that the tides have settled now that we can like really just digest it and then talk about it. I think this is a perfect time to kind of give our takes on it.
And is that the general consensus? Is that things have kind of
over
at this stage in the game? There's no expectations that Drake is going to come back with anything.
Well, it's Drake, so he will send shots forever.
Sure.
I think now that, especially that he's lost, he'll now.
But that's the consensus. There's no rumors of him like cooking anything.
I think if it was going to come out, it would have came out by now.
Didn't it take like 2 weeks though in between the previous tracks? So wouldn't we still have a little time on that?
Yeah, given so it was 2 weeks and then they were just back to back to back to back. I think at this point now, and then given like the last song he released was kind of like you know what, like I don't really have time for this anymore.
Yeah,
I'm kind of like I'm gonna go do some other things. I just think it's okay.
Do tell. Break
personally. Coming from the rap culture that I grew up on, I feel like this was the softest rap beef that has ever happened in music. I don't really have a dog in the fight. I think there's a few proponents here. I think Drake is very much a person that is perpetuating a culture and a narrative when it comes down to that specific part of rap music that he's not from, right? The beef, the battles, I'm a mob boss, I'm a gangster. These are things I feel like he's perpetuating, not necessarily the case. However, he happens to be very, very good at music, and he carries his music. He anchors his music to a lot of stereotypical rap narratives. And I think that gives Kendrick a lot of ammunition because all of these tropes that Drake moves along with, Kendrick is trying to separate himself from as far away from all of those to not be the stereotypical rapper. I don't wear chains and Black Power, which is great. It's an awesome message.
Drake is like a Michael Bay, and
he's a Michael Bay version of a rapper.
And Kendrick is like A24.
God, that's perfect analogy. Yeah, and I don't think either one of them really intersect well.
Yeah,
and it, Isaiah makes comment that I feel like Kendrick won. I honestly don't think either one of them won in a regard that when it comes to the momentous character or personality that Drake has made out of himself, I don't think that there's really much that you can say that hasn't been said either on the internet or rumored. And a lot of the information or the shots that Kendrick was putting into his music was just kind of like, yeah, we've personally, it was like, we've heard this before. When are you going to say something that's going to like rock us to the core? And I take it back to 2018 when Drake was beefing with Pusha T, and it escalated really quickly when he said that you were hiding a child, right? And it changed the entire narrative of this situation. Now, we're back in a situation where Drake has to defend himself as another rapper. But the thing is, Kendrick is saying, okay, you can perpetuate these things, but where are the hard facts? Versus that, where are the facts that are going to shake the core foundation of who Drake is? And we saw that before.
Yeah.
In this beef, it was more kind of like, I don't like you, I don't like you.
A lot of hearsay.
And then, you know, you do this and you do that. And Drake is coming back with, yeah, I heard this and maybe that. I don't think any of it really had legs to stand on. So then you go to what song sounds better. Mm-hmm. And then the fans of, you get, it's really dichotomized now because you get one set of fans that like Drake music, because I thought this was a very interesting take. The diss songs were still very much in the nature of the music that they create.
Yeah, 100%.
Right? So I think the Drake songs sound better, but the Kendrick Lamar songs were delivered better.
Yeah.
Right? They were more artistic. They had they had more dynamics to them. So I don't know. I just think that this was very, I think it was a very obscure thing. I don't think that they were evenly matched. And I don't think one outmatched the other. I also got tired of it at one point. I got tired of digesting 6 and 7 minute songs.
It's such an interesting take because I disagree with you on like a lot of in like so many points. Like I do think there was a definitive winner and loser here, even if one side had more to lose than the other. Because I think there's a genuineness in the dislike between Drake and Kendrick Lamar that showed in this beef. And it really shows in the J. Cole bow out of this, of how J. Cole is very much a central person. He's obviously cool with both sides of this. He's cool with Kendrick, he's cool with Drake.
Okay, I mean, waiting for you to.
And he kind of he says what he says about Kendrick Lamar on a very much a rap level. Like
he wanted to spar.
Yes, he wanted to spar.
J. Cole wanted to spar.
Where Kendrick Lamar
was like, no, I don't like him, and I'm going to try and ruin him.
Exactly. So step out of this.
But I don't think he ruined him.
So, but no, I don't think he ruined him. But I definitely think Kendrick Lamar out-rapped him. He made better songs than he did. He outdid Drake on the things that Drake does well. And that makes hits.
I think that's perspective, personally. I think it's perspective.
Drake is a hit maker.
Yeah.
Kendrick Lamar is.
I don't think any of the songs that Kendrick put out are hits.
I would have to.
Right, in this cycle of.
I would have to say that the last one that Kendrick put out, the They Not Like Us, a hit.
That's arguably.
That's a hit.
I think that's also out of context for. Oh, it's I think it's a great song. I don't think it's indicative of the type of music that Kendrick makes, which is again creative, because I think he set out to make a song that Drake would make to counteract what
Drake does.
But
for me, and even all the motifs in that song, and just the title of it itself is, they, as in Drake and the people around Drake, are not like us, the people of the culture, who live and breathe these things on a day-to-day basis, and they are absorbed in who we are as a people and as a culture. And Drake picks and chooses and appropriates what he wants to need to satisfy his sales numbers and produce listenable and very good music for his fans. But none of these things are the core of who Drake is. He's this Canadian actor kid who got put on as a teenager and makes good music.
And I think that's fine, but I also think, unfortunately, the audience that you speak about that is for the culture is a microcosm of rap music, and I don't think that the casual fan who is a Drake stan, I don't think that this even is going to affect them. I don't think that this is going to affect Drake at all.
I mean, it's like,
so saying he lost, I don't think there was anything for him to lose here. But
it's like right message, wrong messenger, and all the other people. So Pusha T was right message, wrong messenger.
Right.
Meek Mill, right message, wrong messenger. Everybody's saying you're not the person.
You're not one of us.
You're not who you're an infiltrator into this culture. Because even if we look at most rappers outside of Drake, right? Everyone.
They're all fabricated in some regard.
Fabricated in some sense of the word, right? But everyone is relatable to somebody.
Yeah, I think that's the glory in music, period.
Who is Drake relatable to?
Taylor loves Drake.
He's
That's
relatable.
it. That's it right there, right? That's not a shot. That's a fact.
I'm talking about in the hip hop sphere of things. Like J. Cole is relatable to many people. Where the same way Kendrick is relatable to many people. Same way Jay-Z is relatable to
I think this is an interesting point, right? Because we're at a point in music where there are so many different archetypes of rappers and music and subgenres inside of it that we're not force-fed the early 2000s where there was one type of rapper. There was 50 Cent. I mean, there was Jay-Z. There was 50 Cent, there was Lil Wayne, and they're all perpetuating the same, different type of styles, but it's the same message along the board, right? And you can get deep dive into their discographies and find some, really great songs, but along in that, the narrative is just kind of the same stuff
100%.
over and over and over. Where now, I think we, given there's so many different types of rappers. Every rapper speaks to a different type of person, a different type of experience, a different type of Black experience, a different type of white experience. Like there's so many rappers that represent so many different things that I don't think that the concentration of one of those subgenres is going to outweigh the other.
Understandable. But like when we say the things that, so let's say, just stay on relatability, right? The things that make Drake relatable are his struggles with women. And when we look into the deep dive of Drake's struggles with women, all of them come back to him being not so good of a guy that puts him in these positions to be in these places with these women.
It's arguable, yeah.
Which is why it comes back to the whole thing is you claim to be this one thing, but in every real life scenario and everything that ends up coming out of your heart in these songs point you to be this really terrible person, which is the thing that kind of Kendrick is getting at. And that's why we were never able to pull any truth about Kendrick out of what Drake was saying. We were always able to pull some truth about Drake, about what Kendrick said about Drake.
I think truth is a kind of a hard word. We don't know if any of it's true. It could all be fabricated. We don't know if it's true.
Very true, but we only know what what happens to Drake in the public eye.
Let me stop here. Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Are you a Kendrick fan before you're a Drake fan?
It's a heated debate.
No.
Okay.
I'm not.
I just kind of want to get where you're
I'm mostly
speaking from.
anti-Kendrick. I really don't. He doesn't really move the needle for me.
Should have put popcorn down.
Should have.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, let me ask this question, not to stay on this topic much longer, but if the Kendrick song, which has been doing very well in the charts,
now it's
if
charting,
it was unassociated to the Drake drama and it was just a regular song,
No.
Like it wouldn't fall into the hit category. It's in the hit category because everybody's listening
It's in
to
a
it
hit
they want to
category
see the
because
responses.
of the legs it has in regard to the message behind it. Like it's, it could
Correct.
possibly.
And I would argue potentially, and this isn't me trying to hype Drake, but I would argue that if Kendrick was battling with anybody else,
and he put Drake on the record, it'd be a top 5, right?
no, but if he was battling with anybody else, I don't think people would care that much.
No,
It's because he chose to take shots at Drake and
Yeah.
he stirred up this thing with Drake. Now Kendrick is reaping the benefits of that, right?
Yeah.
In the sense that the scale of it, the scope and scale of it is so big. It'd be the same thing if somebody came out and started taking shots at Taylor Swift or something. It would be because it's such a big person and because the
That's
field
why
is so
yeah.
everybody's watching it now.
Yeah, you're stepping on the tail of a dragon.
Yeah, it kind of elevates every aspect of it. Kendrick is not that he needed press to begin with necessarily, but he's obviously extremely relevant right this second because of this.
But
whole
it's
feud.
also one of those things where it's not like Kendrick is a random. It's one of those things if somebody came out of the woodwork and started, it'd be there's not even really a fair comparison, but if Beyonce and Taylor Swift started just publicly beefing.
Sure.
It's not even a fair comparison because we've been waiting on this type of rap conflict between the three of them, Kendrick Lamar, J. Cole, and Drake, for a long time.
I was more excited for the initial J. Cole Kendrick because they kind of align in the same type of stratosphere.
Lyrical miracle. I'm going to out rap you.
I'm going to out rap in the sport of rap. Like right, rap is fundamentally competitive. I can out rap you. You can out rap me. You know, and then it shifted to the attention being on Drake, and I just don't. I don't know. I don't. Again, I don't have a dog in the fight. I just don't really see I don't see the waves crashing on either side. I'm just kind of like, it's both throwing stones and they're falling short.
Very good. Well, we'll land the plane.
Yeah, we can. But good talk.
And
Don't say plane.
that's right. Don't say plane.
Hey, Drake's not perfect, and Kendrick Lamar can make hits. There we go. That's
Fair enough.
That's what we want.
It seems like Kendrick won. We'll put a bow on it. That's what it seems like as of now. All right. So Steve Carell, I don't know if you're aware of this, but The Office, there is a new Office.
They're coming back. Yeah, I heard that.
And Steve Carell says you will not see Michael Scott in The Office follow-up. Yeah, he's
done. Yeah, he's not.
They have released the concept of the show. Basically,
Jim
it's a newspaper company more or less that's going out of business. And it's in the same, so I don't believe, and I could be wrong about this, but I don't believe that necessarily anybody from the original cast is officially attached to it in any capacity. It just takes place in the same universe as The Office did.
Okay, I saw promotional material that I thought was real, and it had Jim sitting at a desk, and it was like, Office is back.
Got you. Yeah.
Now, that could have just, I saw it on Twitter. I didn't see it like as an ad. So
All I've got
I'm
here,
guessing that that's not a real thing.
all I've got here is that it will feature the fictional crew that followed Dunder Mifflin.
Correct. The idea is that the crew that was like filming The Office and made that series, they basically are looking for their follow-up documentary series, and they hop over to a newspaper company that is failing. And I would imagine that there'll be some like tie-ins to Dunder Mifflin or Saber because it's a newspaper company and they're kind of like loosely
Gotcha.
So it's all going to take place in the same universe, and I would imagine that you will see some people pop up from the original cast, but
in Scranton.
Yeah, I would think so. I don't know that it takes place in Scranton, but
the newspaper is described as a Midwest newspaper.
Okay.
I just think there'll be like some very like subtle connections to.
We'll get some nice Easter eggs and some crew.
I kind of wish,
but no Steve Carell.
I kind of wish all the mockumentary shows
kind of
existed in the same universe
at some point. Yeah, like Parks and Rec. I think there's a few ways to look at it. I think reviving. I'm glad it's not them continuing the story of The Office. The original, like that rode off into the sunset, and it did a great job at doing that. Michael Scott came back and watched what's his name? Goddamn, Dwight get married. Like it was a great send off. I don't need them to somehow try to revisit that almost 15 years later, 20 years later at this point, I guess. I think this type of narrative works if it's true. Like we're gonna follow.
I mean, it's what they said.
Yeah, so I'm with that, and I think in the magic of storyboarding, it's possible. It's possible to create a show that can live in vein with that. Like if you watch Abbott Elementary, it's very much in the vein of The Office. Like almost.
That's what I was saying. Like
almost the same.
If they if this was, it'd be a great like tie-in if
somehow
all of these mockumentary shows were through the same company. Yeah. And they happen to keep finding these more companies and government.
That would be a great concept for a show that they're trying to find another one after they found Parks and Rec, after they found The Office and they found Abbott, and now they're trying to find the next one because they're failing. That would be a great kind of linchpin for all of them. But I mean, we'll see.
Do you watch Abbott Elementary?
I do.
I meant to ask.
I do.
I meant to ask about this a little while ago, a couple episodes ago. I'm like halfway through season 1.
Yeah.
And I don't know, this might be like blasphemy, but I don't find it funny.
Okay.
Does it get funny? Like I know like the first season of The Office is not like stellar.
Yeah.
And then it kind of like catches its stride in season 2, etc. I don't hate it,
Yeah.
but I kind of am more just like watching it, and I don't find it like as humorous. And I was like, maybe it's not supposed to be super funny. Like maybe it's supposed to be kind of more of just like
I think this is where the cultural tide turns.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the jokes are very much, I'd say, millennial concentrated, but in subcultures. This is again is another like subculture thing because they're like in the heart of Philly. So you get like parts that are wide ranging, but a lot of it, like a lot of the things that like Ava does, who's the principal, or what's her name? Janet? What's
Cool.
the teacher?
Janine.
No, sorry, Janet. A lot of the kind of like the nuances of the stuff and the jokes are very, very internet based. Very meme culture, very they're leaning in on a lot of like the borderline Gen Z late millennial comedy. Some of it misses me sometimes. I'm not gonna front like I have to like okay I get
I'm
it.
just not cool enough.
No,
That's fine.
you're very cool. I think
Not so sure. But
It's made to be funny to people between my age and like younger.
so
Yeah.
so you're laugh out loud. It's knocking your socks off.
Sometimes, yeah, some things are genuinely
Yeah.
funny, but it's not like
You're rolling
it
around.
won't be like the meme culture things that are genuinely funny to me. It'll be the things that are so specific to a certain aspect of Black culture
Yeah.
that only probably like me and the six
Yeah.
other people that
they
it was
lean a
intended-
lot. They
like-
lean very, very hard into Black culture funny.
like Barbara
And like
in her.
and her church going.
church.
Like a lot of
Those things are very funny
yeah.
to me.
Yeah.
So it's a black white thing.
No,
I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know. I'm asking. Because like I watched back to The Office, and maybe you didn't feel the same way, but like I'll rewatch The Office, and I will just there are some scenes
I'll
that
die.
I will just
oh no,
die,
yeah, The
dude.
Office is universally.
And I just
funny.
don't have those moments with like Abbott Elementary.
Yeah,
But I think
Abbott is
The
kind of
Office is a
concentrated.
little bit more adult as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Whereas Abbott is very much
it's
family
very.
friend-
they're in
it's
an
very much-
elementary
it's
school.
safe.
It's very safe.
Okay, because
yeah.
that was the other thing I
Yeah,
was
it's
going to
very
say
safe.
too. Is it felt like a very safe show. Like it just felt like
yeah.
the jokes were always like 80% there, and it was like they just like
If
softened
someone
it,
had to
you know
just,
what I mean?
if Dwight had to just came in at the end of the joke and just sent it off, then it would have like
Yeah.
slapstick.
Okay.
But it's on ABC. It's Disney. It's like they're trying to.
All right.
It's in vein of Office, but safe, safe, very
It's
safe.
The Office you can watch with your kids and everybody understands.
There we go. It's the PG Office.
Okay, very good. I love it. All right. I'll stick with it. We'll jump around a little bit.
Gregory's from Baltimore, so they get into like his.
They get into Baltimore.
Yeah, they get into like his
Baltimore-style
theme
pizza.
and that I think that was probably one of the top 5 jokes for me when they talk about Baltimore pizza being wet.
Yeah. I feel like I've seen that part of it.
Yeah,
I want to say I've seen that part of it.
We've talked extensively about Baltimore pizza
It's
too.
terrible. It's fucking terrible. Well,
It's not the best, dude.
It's not.
No,
It's not, and I don't understand.
how?
I don't understand why it's like
Because
that.
there's nowhere in Baltimore. This is, I mean, again, I've not been to every aspect of Baltimore, but this is just the sense that I get. There's nowhere where there is like a consistent food, like kind of culture, like nonstop that would necessitate a pizza shop that's just cooking on all cylinders.
Yeah.
Like New York
Yeah.
is different because like New York, you can make pizza all day long and be really good at it and like make money all day, all night long.
Right.
And really in Baltimore, it's like
Pizza's-
it's not an all around the clock
It's
thing.
not a food
Yeah.
that we are consistently
Yeah,
like.
it's-
New York is I'm gonna get a
There's
slice
certain
real quick.
hours
and
of
I
the
can-
day that people are going to want pizza, and a lot of people in Baltimore are going to want delivery, which is going to immediately like
Cut the market
Cut
on
the-
where the
yeah.
good pizza's at. So, like my
So-
favorite place is Paulie G's down in Hamden.
yeah
They have really, really good pizza.
yeah
Okay.
But their hours and their structure, they have like that. They have that hipster thing going on where like we're gonna have weird hours.
Yeah.
10 to
and,
4. Like what?
Yeah.
Where we don't take cash and like, it's
yeah,
like, like Paulie G's. I love you if you're watching.
Open up
Just
longer.
be regular.
it's
That's
in it,
how-
but that's the thing, they're doing the hours because that's when people
Because
are
that's
showing
what
up.
yeah,
No,
that's
100%.
That's it's an environment thing. I'm pretty like confident of. Like
Yeah.
New York has the environment
Yeah.
for good pizza just based upon
You can get a two bros
time,
slice
people,
at
etc.
any time of the day. You can
Yeah.
just 6 a.m. I'm gonna go get a slice.
It's
6
not the
p.m. I'm
water,
gonna go get a slice.
it's
And
not the dough.
Same all the
It's the
time.
culture.
It's
Yeah.
just the environment. It's more conducive to
And it's
great pizza.
always like, like you used to watch Ninja Turtles and they would pick up a slice of pizza and it'd be like,
It falls.
that's
like
Baltimore
down.
pizza. And I'm like, that's not New York pizza. I don't know what they're eating. That's a Baltimore.
Yes.
That's
Like,
a
it's a
Baltimore
Baltimore
imitation slice.
Yeah. And it's
Yeah,
just
like
kind of
that.
like everything's like sliding off of it. It's
Baltimore slice,
terrible.
baby.
It's terrible. It's terrible. But I wouldn't have it any other way.
I feel like the cheese and everything above the sauce is probably the best part of it, really.
Yeah. So then you gotta fold it and like kind of like hold it up like it's terrible.
Yep.
God,
Not the best.
God bless Baltimore.
The roast of Tom Brady. Did you watch this? Did you get into this?
I got through about 45 minutes
Oh,
and I
really?
didn't because I just started it the other night and I hadn't picked it back up yet.
That's not much of it. It's over 3 hours.
Yeah, it's very long. I
Yes.
got up to got through Jim Ross, got through is her name Sarah Glazer. I got through Drew Bledsoe. I got through a few. But I appreciate I look, more power to Tom, man. Like what did he say? He said they gave me 25 mil to talk about me but that was before the roast came out, and then he came out yesterday and said he would never do it again.
Tom Brady says his appearance on the greatest roast of all time has affected his children.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I actually thought it was a relatively like.
It was relatively safe, I thought.
I thought so too. I mean, I get it. Everybody kind of went after his divorce and went after his,
It's
I guess,
low-hanging
his
fruit,
wife, but
you know.
that's.
I mean, that's
It's a roast.
he kind
That's
of made
what
out.
people are.
It's a roast,
It's
yeah.
what people are
Yes,
gonna do.
you got to know what you're getting yourself into.
Like that was number one. I think he's had a relatively, and I don't know Tom Brady's like career that well, but I think he's had a pretty clean background.
Yeah.
Aside from the divorce, like that's about what you've got to work with.
And I thought everyone did a really good job at like leveling it out. Like everyone really gave him his praises just as much as they roasted him.
Yeah.
Like, he's the GOAT, but, he also can't get his wife back because he can't beat up the guy that took her. So like it was just very much leveled out. But, I wasn't the one being roasted, so
For
I can't
25
speak
million,
on.
dude, you can say whatever you want about him.
This is kind of I feel like this is kind of a douchey thing to
For
say
as
here.
long as you want to
I
say
loved
it.
when the jokes were about me. I thought they were so fun, he said. I didn't like the way it affected my kids. Continuing, it makes you in some ways a better parent going through it because sometimes you're naive.
I don't even know what that means.
Right. Going through,
I think
everybody
that-
should go through a roast is what he's getting
Well,
at.
I think that sometimes maybe your perspective is, I mean, this is like a very human thing, but like your perspective is going to be, I think, relatively narrow just because it's based on your personal experience and exposure.
So I cut those quotes up. In between, he continues, it was the bittersweet aspect of when you're doing something you think is one way, and then all of
Yeah.
a sudden you realize I wouldn't do that again because the way it affected actually the people I care about the most in this world.
I mean, it's not like they talked about your kids. They talked about their mom who cheated on you with the jiu-jitsu guy. So
Yeah.
she kind of deserved it.
It's a good lesson for me as a parent. I'm going to be a better parent as I go forward because of it.
I think what he's saying in the regard is I wouldn't put myself at
At the mercy
of others and my kids see that,
Yeah.
right? Like it's
because it's probably more traumatic for them than it is for him. The fact to keep hearing, "Oh, my parents aren't together anymore
because
my
Yeah.
dad."
I
wouldn't
saw
stop
the roast
working."
about your dad. Your mom is things of that.
Yeah, and everybody in Tom's life is a yes man to him, and they're all going to be hyping him up and telling him exactly the story and narrative that he wants to hear. So I think when he finally is exposed to what like the greater public or even his friends are saying about him, or clearly thinking behind his back, right? Like everybody's going in on him, his wife, and that whole situation. I bet you most people that are in Tom's corner are not like being as explicit with him, right?
For
Because
sure.
they're all trying to like be buddy with Tom. They're not going to make, they're not going to like make jokes. They're tell him how like they honestly feel for the most part. So he gets up there and all of a sudden he starts feeling like, damn, like people really have a different perception
I'm
of
still
me.
on the like you sign up for a roast. Like
It's all. I think
like
he had one
it
rule.
seems
though.
like it was the money.
It was definitely the money. And I mean, to his defense, he said he had one rule. No jokes about Robert Kraft and the thing. And Jim Ross made one. He got up there and was like, don't say that shit again. Quotes. And but I don't know, bro, for 25 mil.
But he doesn't need it.
No, he doesn't need it.
I understand.
No, he
but
But
I
no
understand.
one's ever going to turn down $25 million, right?
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. I mean, how many millions does he have? He has to have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds.
Yeah.
Like, I get it. I understand. It seems like a stupid thing that you would pass up $25 million, but Tom Brady doesn't need $25 million. Like, he's not going to notice it in the bank account, I don't think. I mean, I guess he can buy another house or something, and not think about it, but realistically, it's not, I don't know. But I agree with what everyone here said, man.
Yeah.
I was just curious if you saw it, but I watched the whole thing. I sat through the entire thing.
Yeah,
so
it was
3.5 hours.
I gotta watch it in parts.
I would say if you're catching scenes and clips on social media, like if you're getting it in your Instagram or TikTok or whatever, you're getting the best aspects of it.
Okay.
So I would, if, unless you really want to see it in its entirety, everything that, like all of the funniest bits I saw on Instagram before I watched it.
Good to know.
Yeah.
So you get a bunch of guys up there that are athletes that played with him, and their stuff I
saw some rough jokes, man.
It's all pretty awful.
They were pretty rough.
It's just not great. But there are some of the comedians that get up there and do have some pretty good lines. But all their stuff, like I said, it's all over Instagram and TikTok. So check that out. Baby Reindeer. Did you watch that at all? Have you fired this up?
No, it's on my I added it to my list.
It's taking over the culture.
I've heard some very uncomfortable things, so I have to watch. Chanel's like, from what she heard, she's not going to do it. So
now, what about it is that she doesn't like this? Like, what is it that is uncomfortable?
I honestly don't know anything about it, right?
No, I know that she
like,
says I don't.
things.
It definitely is uncomfortable, but she says I don't want to watch it because I'm uncomfortable.
Oh, like boundary things. Like I heard there's like sexual assault things like that where she's uncomfortable with that. So she won't watch it. So I'm like, if I gotta watch it, like it's gonna sound like mansplaining, but like those things on TV they don't bother me.
Yeah,
as much as they.
You're fine with assault.
No,
you're good.
No.
That's the best way out of it.
Yeah.
No.
It's kind of what I explicitly watched now that you mention it.
Strictly assault.
Yeah. That's why I wanted to see it.
But I will say this, because I have watched it through.
Oh, okay.
You watched it. Okay.
I watched it through. He's watched it through.
Okay.
The assault scenes, you can tell that something's lingering before the assault scenes come about. Like, there's something off about this guy, obviously. But when you see the assault, it does genuinely make you uncomfortable in a way that I did not think it would. Like, I thought it would be a breeze through, but the way that the story is told, it makes you uncomfortable, and then it makes the situation that the guy is in very uncomfortable.
So not only is watching it uncomfortable, you get secondhand embarrassment.
Yeah.
It's not breezy assault.
Oh
No,
God.
It's not like
lingering.
Because it's not like it's alluded to. It's like
it's not like he walks in and shuts the door and you hear a sound and he goes to the next scene.
No, it's like,
oh God.
It's like that happens once, and then they show you a bit more.
Oh yeah.
When it happens another time, and they show you a bit more when it happens another
Yeah,
time.
I heard
kind of
it's
like Jaws. You don't see the shark for the first, half of the movie, and then all of a sudden it grabs you
and rips a leg off.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
I heard it was kind of made. It was made in the vein of like Misery.
So the guy that wrote it and the guy that's in it is the guy that went through the experience.
Wow.
Yeah. So the main guy, like the lead actor, he basically went through this like stalking situation. And he is a comedian, but he wrote this show and he stars as himself in it. And the woman that is in it, that is the stalker, is an actress.
Yeah.
But there is a real person.
Yes.
That character is based off of. Yeah. So it's a weird thing because it's literally like that's why
reliving this.
That's why I honestly think some of the uncomfortableness of it is very like it's like it's to a different degree.
Yeah.
It's not just a written, like somebody writing a television show.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Like that like when he's like acting and portraying these scenes, it's like he did these things.
You know, these things happen.
It happened to him, so it's like a very genuine perspective on it, like a very genuine take on it.
Oof.
It's not like a bunch of like guys in the writer's room were like,
We have
this
this
would have
information.
happened.
You know,
If this
you
would have
have to-
happened, how would this happen?
Yeah.
No,
No, he was saying this is how it happened.
yeah. It's so there is a level of like, I agree, of intensity to it that's unusual, but it is a very good show. I don't know. It doesn't sound like you're gonna watch it, so I'm not gonna push it any harder.
It is. I'm finishing up something that we can talk about after.
Yeah.
And once I finish that,
Something you don't want to tell us about.
I mean, I'm trying to finish up Fallout. I'm on the last episode.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah, work on that. Get
Love
that. Wrap
Fallout.
that up. Have you done any of the John Mulaney?
Yeah, watched the first
series?
episode.
Okay. Are you a John Mulaney fan?
I am. I'm
Okay.
a big John Mulaney
Very
fan. I think for him, we talked about his last stand up. And you just, you know, I love a good comeback story, you know. He bagged a good one. What's her name?
Olivia Munn.
Olivia Munn. One of my top 5 glasses of milk. And he's got back out there. He kicked the monkey off his back. He's cooking, man. Good for him, man.
Very, very funny. I've seen all the episodes, but the last one,
Okay.
very enjoyable, and they're very.
It's my type of humor.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very odd. But
Yeah, it's an odd
very,
type of.
It's very funny.
It's like a show. That's a talk show. That's a sketch show. That's
yes, it's kind of a combo of all these things.
yeah.
It does feel like a little bit of a. Everybody was in town for a Netflix.
Is Stavi's on it on an
joke
episode?
festival, so let's just get them all on stage and
Yeah.
make more content. I feel like Netflix does that more now. I even felt like that way about the roast of Tom Brady thing. I feel like because they do that comedy festival every year.
Oh.
Like, Netflix is a joke.
Yeah, they just had it right. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
So I always feel like
They're
feel
booking
like
things when they know all
we
of
have
comedians.
all the comedians in town. Let's set up as many things as we can. That way we can maximize the amount of content
And
we
their
get.
schedules,
So the
yeah,
John
yeah.
Mulaney thing, the roast of Tom Brady. I feel
Mark
like
Twain
this'll
for
be-
Kevin Hart.
Yeah,
like
this
they're
is
all
gonna-
aligned around the same time.
yeah,
Yeah,
this will be a thing moving forward. I think these like mass moments of like content creation for
comedians. Yeah, and I also like this kind of tight knit unification in comedy right now.
yes, yeah.
Because it's not just like, I think in the early, I'm a big fan of like stand up comedy, and I think like in the early '90s, like comedy was like very much like isolated, right? Like you got like your Comic View comics, and then you got like your Comedy
were,
Central
like,
comics,
the
and
renegades of the entertainment
Right.
industry.
Yeah. And so now, as those comics get older, and of course with the change of like media and technology, like now all of the comics are kind of like, we all kind of know each other. We're all kind of like in the same realm, in the same boat. We're all going to the same shows. We're all kind of
Everybody's kind of working the same.
everybody's
circle now.
working the same things, right? So you'll see someone like shout out to my man Langston Kerman. You'll see Astavi, you'll see Kevin Hart, and then you'll see Seinfeld. Like they're all in this one kind of like secular, not secular, just one like central region. And they're all operating on all cylinders together.
Yeah.
I just think it's really, really
There's
dope.
like power in numbers, which I think they all eventually discover.
And I'm glad the OGs get it, right? Like, I think comedy was also one of those things. Like, they were always very kind of like taking other comics under their wing, and like now, I honestly think it kind of started with like comedians in cars, or comedians getting coffee. What is it?
Cars getting coffee.
Comedians in cars
And
getting
cars
coffee.
getting coffee, yeah.
Where Seinfeld kind of was then like, look, let me kind of bring the culture
I'm
along
also
with
going to
me.
attribute it kind of there's the Rogan effect too. Like Joe Rogan, Dave Chappelle, they've done a lot to
Push
kind
the
of bring together
culture,
a certain community of comedy, especially when Joe Rogan left California.
Yeah, you can
Because he's created.
you can say what you want about Joe Rogan, but what he's done for a lot of people is
there's like I said, there's like a power in numbers. Like
Yeah.
a lot of comedians realize that like, hey, we can be very successful if we all
Together.
work together as
Yeah.
opposed to work against one another.
Yeah.
Because it's really
for sure.
about just dominating, I think, social media and like those different channels and outlets, and you can do it in numbers, but it's hard to do it if you're just by yourself and you're kind of like F you to everybody else. You know? All right, Apple iPad ad.
What
iPad
the ad do?
ad drama.
I don't see what the problem with. I mean, I understand why people might be upset, but I think it's silly.
What is the thing that people are upset about first?
Because I don't know.
So some
I've seen the ad, I
context.
don't know.
Before we get too far in this, and we have to.
You've seen the ad?
There's
I think so.
There's
I
a-
watched
the crushing ad.
Yes. Yeah, I saw that.
okay, perfect. So for
was the
anybody,
first thing
for
they
anybody that's
showed.
listening, there's an ad out there. If you've not watched it, Apple recently released it alongside the launch of their new iPad line, where there is a hydraulic press. It's a very large one, and there's all of these creative tools and instruments within this hydraulic press, and the hydraulic press crushes all of it. It's like violins and guitars and paintbrushes and pianos and cymbals and
kinds of crap.
all
Yeah.
kinds of stuff, right? And it crushes all of it and it destroys all of this stuff, and it basically like flattens everything completely out, and then it
an iPad
reveals
appears.
an iPad. The concept being that hey, we have stuck
Smashed all this
smashed
stuff.
all of this stuff into something so incredibly thin, but a lot of people have looked on in absolute horror. They felt like they were murdering creativity in a very, I guess, violent way. And honestly, it's interesting. I can definitely see both aspects of it. I really can. At first, when I saw it, I didn't really think much of it. I got exactly where they were going as soon as they did it. This is not the first
think it's
instance
pretty-
of this
yeah.
ad concept. There are other companies. LG had an ad like this. This is not the first. We're not first to market on this idea. So I knew exactly where they were going with it when they did it. And then when I watched it the second time from the perspective of having known the controversy now, I did kind of feel like it is a weird, I don't know if Steve would have put that out. I don't know if he would have signed off on that ultimately, because it does seem a little disrespectful of all of these things that kind of in many ways are responsible for
the invention of
the invention of Apple, more or less, I think in a large way, right? Like Apple's whole thing has really been kind of to be a creative tool. So
you're saying people are looking at it as they're destroying these things.
Yeah, as in like,
versus
you
just-
don't need these things anymore. We have iPads.
We've done it and we've put it all in the iPad for you.
Well, yeah, I mean, the idea is that like you don't need guitars, you don't need pianos, you don't need any of these things. It's all in this iPad now.
Yeah.
So you don't need paintbrushes, you don't need easels, you don't need
You don't need to be creative.
You don't need the creative. You don't need creative tools.
You don't need.
We have an
media.
iPad for you. This is all you need. Whereas I think Apple's like core philosophy more was like we are going to help accentuate.
That's
the
what I
creative
got
tools,
from
right?
it
You know what I mean?
was you can have all of those things that you're using will be accentuated by using the iPad.
100%. I get that perspective too. But I do think the visualization of destroying all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. I see where you're going.
You know
I
what I'm
get
saying?
it.
Like
Yeah.
when somebody pitches it to me that way,
Yeah.
I go, oh, damn, you're right. Like they are kind of destroying
with an
all of
IQ
those
level
things.
Especially
below
because-
like 60,
Well,
I
it's not,
can
it's not
see
even an
you
IQ
being-
level thing because.
'Cause you're looking at it for exactly what it is. It's being destroyed, and you're saying you're destroying these things.
But
that's kind of
you gotta
literal.
think about it like this though. Even if you just raise the IQ levels 20 points. Okay, this is not a machine of synthesis. This machine doesn't synthesize. It just compacts.
That's what they're
but-
saying.
But no, because I
Right?
think there are people out there that make the argument that like the iPad is something that can be used in tandem with a piano or like a piano player.
We squeezed
like
all of these things
you know
in
what I'm
here
saying?
to
Like
use.
there was a time where like an ad probably would have shown somebody reading sheet music off of an iPad while they play a
right.
piano, and it's like
rather
a tool.
than playing the piano on the iPad.
Correct.
I got you.
You know what I'm saying?
But see,
We're
like
playing through
the
it now,
camera
as you
angle
can
where
see
they
it.
shoot up kind of like is a comedy thing, and the way everything is crushed. I feel like that's certainly a
and
big
this is
part
a
of it as
callback
well.
to just TikTok and
By the way, this
Instagram
is
culture.
just the streaming. The signal is not great right now.
Yeah, this
Are we
is-
missing an airport?
No,
this is a
they're
callback
probably just
to
combating each other.
TikTok culture where there's those videos of people putting different things in hydraulic presses.
Yeah,
and
that's
watching
true.
them
Oh, yeah,
explode.
yeah.
No, 1,000%. Like I
Yeah.
get it. I get both sides of it. I really do. And for again, anybody that's
Jeez
listening or is
Louise.
watching this.
Yeah, we're
just
sorry,
staring
guys.
at.
But
like,
you
past the
can definitely
camera.
see what people are saying. I mean, I can totally get where they're coming from. Like, I think
We've
I think at a
smashed
time,
all of this into the iPad.
I think at a time you would have seen the iPad as more of a, like, I don't know,
Accentuating tool
Yeah,
rather than
something that you use
something to replace this stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
But
Like,
at the same point,
alongside
they had
these
the
things.
commercial with the kid out in the yard and the sprinkler, and they're what are you doing on your computer?
Computer. What's a computer? Right. Yeah,
And now they're doing I forget who it was that one of the execs came out and said the iPad and the Mac are complementary, not
They're
replacing
definitely
it.
not.
No. Not at all.
They're not. They just don't want to kill the Mac, so they're going to force you to touch that screen for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think you're damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of thing.
That's
right?
true. Yeah.
But I get it.
And touchscreen Macs, maybe a
Never
thing.
happening.
I don't think
Says who?
I would have said never as well, but that rumor like comes up
every year.
But this one has gotten more kind of
but just
credence to it.
yeah, I don't know.
So-
They just have to put Mac OS on an iPad and it's over. It's all done.
Yeah, well, that's also the case. It's so silly to me that we're still running
it
two
is.
completely different operating systems. The problem is if they get rid of an operating system, I feel like they're going to get rid of Mac OS, not iPad OS. Like iPad OS will be the primary. I don't think they're going to put Mac OS on an iPad.
No, I understand that that's like, I think philosophically they are completely against that idea. But I'm saying if you took an iPad and you just put Mac OS on it and I had the little keyboard with the trackpad and everything, like that's
I
what
think
that would eliminate 98% of Mac
Yes.
sales.
Yes,
Yes.
because the general person that buys a Mac just wants a reliable computer. It's not a
Yes.
super user.
It's such a
right?
small demographic
Yeah.
that is actually using them for like prosumer or pro
Yes,
needs.
yes.
That
We're actually-
needs the
There's
full.
us,
Sure.
and then there's nobody else.
Yeah,
Sure, yeah.
Dude, I would love an iPad. I would love a tiny little computer like that I could use as a big screen and like
What?
interact with and do all that. But I would also like the ability to like file manage and have a traditional mouse and
Yeah.
regular experience and like be able to move between. Like I want to take some of my work stuff with me maybe sometimes, but not have like the whole the whole deal. And it's too challenging still to kind of like go between Mac or like Mac and iPad OS or whatever it's called, and like or iOS and like the apps and they're not always compatible.
It's not
seamless. It's not great.
It's not at all. Like
Mac stuff is like the Mac apps are, but you know,
I certainly see this transition to ARM as being one of those bridging moments. You can now run a lot of iPad apps on your Mac, like I got my little Xair app, you got the iPad version, but now you got the computer or the computer version and you can just run the little iPad version down there.
Yeah.
Like it's cool, but
it's still not.
I agree. It's going the other way when
When I'm super using, when I'm like in Code Studio and I'm moving files and I need to connect to like a source tree or something like
and
that.
you're making a turtle walk left 2 and then turn right.
Like
Yeah. Code Studio.
yeah, you don't use Visual Code.
I'm just making fun of you. I actually don't know what that means. It made me think of that little programming game that I had in elementary school and y'all probably did too with the turtle and you just
It was like like that and like number cruncher.
4 or 5
The
step.
number cruncher.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like when I'm like doing that and then I go to my iPad and then I'm like, I need to do something for work and then I can't. And like all I can do is really like is, text documents and take Zoom calls and answer emails. Right? Like there's no, I don't think there's any way right now to be a power user on an iPad. Like I get the iPad Pro, it's great, better screen.
I think if you're creative, it's a bit different. Like the Lightroom experience for photographers is pretty good.
Yeah.
It's pretty good on the iPad. But even still, there's not a seamless transition because there's no Lightroom Classic for the iPad.
yeah.
Whereas Lightroom Classic is like the end all be all for photo editing.
It's I gotta do a few things on the go
Yeah.
that I need access to.
They want you to use the iPad as like your second monitor. Like you'll have your Mac, and then if you can extend it and use the monitor, and then when you got to go, you can take the iPad with you and like do basic stuff on the go.
You can show people the stuff you worked
they
on,
probably
but you can't work on it.
Yeah, they probably figure like most people aren't like, doing, Photoshop or video editing or, music production or whatever, like on the go, which is fair to an extent, but
it needs I'm finding that other than like Stage Manager, I'm finding that my iPad Pro doesn't do a lot of pro stuff.
Just like the Pro phone, none of it. The Pro terminology in the Apple ecosystem means nothing.
Absolutely
it just means
nothing.
Pro prices. That's
Money.
really the only thing it means.
You're in a different class.
There is no
That's
Pro
it.
aspect to it
If
at
you
all.
could afford to buy something a bit more expensive.
Yeah, that's it. That's
all
really
it
all
means.
it is.
That's all it
Though
means.
I really, really enjoy Stage Manager. Like when I'm not working, I use my iPad as my like primary, because I'm not working. I'm just kind of like consuming content and doing stuff and answering emails and stuff. So having like, just like my iPad is like my central station. It's great. It's actually more fun than using a computer, but I can't do the computer stuff.
I feel like I'm using it wrong. I turn it on every once in a while, but I never, at some point, long story, I thought that I could replace a computer with an iPad for a relative of mine. And so we got the iPad, we got the, all that stuff. And it just never really worked out. And I felt like an idiot because I'm like, yeah, there's no way this is going to, why would anybody use this? But I constantly hear people like you that are like, this is great. And it makes me think maybe I'm just doing it wrong.
Literally just for not doing work. Like,
sure. No, totally. Of course.
I can do,
we're talking Plex. We're talking some YouTube.
I'm chilling.
We're talking
I'm playing a game.
Yeah.
I got this app going, this app going, this app going. It's all going through Stage Manager, and it's fun. I'm consuming content. I got a keyboard and a mouse, and I'm having a great time. But then I got to do some work, and none of the applications will allow me to do what I need to do for work here.
Sure.
Like I'm not a power user in the same regard that you're a power user in a creative. Like I need to like
you're a power user in that
in a technical regard, I can't do any of this stuff. Like there are applications, but it's not the application I need. Right. It's just kind of like it's like writing down. It's like being on the go and having an idea and gotta be like, oh, and then get home and then write it in your other book. It's just not. It's not as seamless as they make it. It's
they have not sorted it out, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's my rant about that. Love it though.
I love it. Let's go ahead and wrap up on Nomad.
It's great.
It's pretty good.
Let's have a
It's pretty
good.
I don't know what type of whiskey it is, but it's good. It's the good kind.
Yeah,
it's not bad.
It
full of flavor.
It says Outland Whiskey on it.
Yeah. So
it doesn't.
And now I've closed every damn tab that I had. It took forever.
I know it's born in Scotland.
You know what I don't like, Josh?
Oh, it's over here. It's on the crush tab. Here we go.
When you accidentally close a tab, you can't Command Z to get the tab back.
You can Command Shift T.
Command Shift T to get it back?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. In Safari and Chrome.
Damn. Yep. Learn something new every day.
Yep, it's great.
Command Shift T.
I would show you, but I moved this window over 20 seconds ago, and it's still. When y'all were talking about the rap battles, I looked at Taylor trying to like catch his eye because I moved the notes over and it left this screen but never showed up there. And I'm like, what's happening? And I just put my hands here and I saw it go, It's like 20 seconds later. So, all right. So quick background here.
Let's go.
This Scotch.
Oh.
Okay. All right, is distilled in Strathspey,
Where's
Scotland, the north of Scotland.
Now we're going to get locations, baby.
Where a ton of distilleries are based. The Glenlivet, Glenfiddich. There's more than 50 distilleries in this area. Dalhousie, I had a whole list here. Anyway.
The big boys.
So many, Balvenie, so many of these distilleries are based in this area. And then they take it to a very small city in Spain, which was on the label that I can't remember what it's called. And their website's terrible, so I don't want to reload it. Jerez, right? Which is outside Cadiz. It's about 10 miles inland.
All these places.
But despite being so close to the coast, it does not have a coastal climate,
Ooh,
which is why they chose there to age it in Pedro Jimenez casks, which is a type of grape. So it's distilled in Scotland, and then it's brought to Spain to age.
Zayas bypass. I can't say these words.
Well, for what it's worth, it's very nice. I enjoy it. It's very smooth. It's not too sweet, but it's got good flavors. It's very easy to drink.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely gonna bottle of this. This is great.
It's awesome. It is very good. Highly recommended. It doesn't taste like it definitely has the Scotch like flavors in it, and
But it has kind of a sweet finish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It drinks more like a bourbon, but it tastes more like a Scotch.
That I associate with Scotch.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Very enjoyable.
Because it's not aged there.
yeah, it's like the most manageable like Scotch there is out there probably.
That's fair. That's probably why I like it, because I'm generally not a Scotch guy.
But the flavors of it are there.
Yeah, very
Really,
strong.
it
Very
really
bold.
feel like it's a Scotch, but it just doesn't ever hit like it is. But very good. It's great. Episode 81.
81.
We're gonna wrap it up, but get out there and vote if you don't mind. If you're still listening
Go
to this
vote.
stage in the game,
If you is the primary still going on?
That was yesterday.
You can't vote anymore. So
Don't vote for that. Vote for us.
yeah,
vote for
I was
that.
gonna say if you haven't voted, but you can't vote anymore, but you can vote for us.
you can still
Best
vote.
of Baltimore, local podcast,
The vote that matters.
Bad Guys and Bourbon, 4 words. We are officially
Don't vote on the one that's 3. That's just an apostrophe N. It's not and.
We are officially on the ballot. All of the spamming we did worked. They put us on there, so we'll keep you guys updated if we win.
Let's go.